Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star Part 205 based on novel. So let's start. Borhinia Island, with a diameter of millions of kilometers, was far away from the auroras. The knight, Luo Feng, and True Yang Emperor landed on the island like three beams of light. There are so many palaces, said Luo Feng, looking at the palaces on the ground and on the mountain. He could literally feel the force coming from all the palaces in every area. He frowned. There seem to be lots of powerful ones living here. Look at that, the knight said, pointing to the sky. They both looked up. Said Luo Feng. He saw halos enveloping the entire island. The halos kept swelling before they disappeared, and then, a new halo came into being. Each halo surrounded another in concentric circles like the ripples on the water. They were spreading. Born and vanished. Born and vanished. Again and again. Each halo was made of threads of the law, the time law, space, gold, wood, water, fire, soil, wind, thunder, and light. Each law was mixed in each thread, which made the halos complete and perfect. Luo Feng was amazed as he realized the halos were actually manifesting the laws of the universe. You too, the knight shouted. Luo Feng and True Yang Emperor came back to reality. This is. True Yang Emperor was rendered speechless. It's incredible. This is the periphery of the laws. The knight looked at the halos ardently. The ancestral God school is the first power of the universe and is responsible for maintaining the operation of the laws of the universe. And it's protected by the laws. Luo Feng was bewildered. Maintaining the operation of the laws of the universe? The secret region of our school has the most special creatures and treasures, the knight said with great confidence. The five-colored Aurora Lake was also rewarded by the laws of the universe. What we're doing is following the laws, and Ancestral God School is defying the laws of the universe. How overbearing it is, Luo Feng murmured. You don't believe it, said the knight. You'll understand after living here for hundreds of millions of years. The knight glanced at Luo Feng and True Yang Emperor. Hundreds of millions of years? Luo Feng was baffled. Come with me, said the knight. The first thing to do is to build a dwelling place on the island. The knight walked quickly with Luo Feng and True Yang Emperor following him. One step was 1,000 kilometers, and they reached the destination in no time. They could see all forms of palaces and powerful ones of all races while walking on the island. There were billions of races, and all of them were mystical with different shapes and characteristics. Luo Feng could recognize some of the special creatures. How many residents are there on the island? Luo Feng wondered. Other than the island owner, all of the others are the heirs, the knight said. My job is to lead you here, and I'll leave soon. There are a plethora of heirs. You can calculate yourselves. There have been only a few hundred human heirs since the birth of the universe. And when you take into account the entire universe, it's a fair universe, and the tokens were distributed everywhere. There are hundreds of millions of races in the universe, and adding all of them together makes tens of billions of heirs. Tens of billions of heirs? Luo Feng stared at the knight. There are really that many heirs? True Yang Emperor found it hard to believe. It's a vast universe, and humanity is only one of the many races, the knight explained. Only the ancestral gods know how many heirs there are. Of course, there are only 100 million living on the island. 100 million? Luo Feng pondered. What about the others? If an heir dies, the Universe Master will reverse the time to bring back rather the heir than the token. It's too costly to bring back a token, and even a Universe Master is reluctant to pay the price. The knight continued, each of the heirs comes with a token, and the second you step in here, your life and the token are bound. The token will be shattered if you die, and it can never be reused. Many powerful heirs died. That's why there are only 100 million of them now. The knight finished explaining. They walked to the ground beside a river. The knight said, you too will build a palace here. Remember, each palace can be no longer or wider than 1 kilometer. Even those enormous demon races and sky beasts need to shrink to fit the designated space. There are no exceptions. Luo Feng and True Yang Emperor nodded. They didn't see any palace that was over 1 square kilometer. Also, you can leave some authenticating objects in the palace to make sure you can God country teleport yourselves here, the knight said. You'll visit the island very often unless you die. If you have soul servants, don't bring them out. They will be destroyed by the lake. Keep them in the palace, as it's your place. Don't ever bring them out. Of course, botanic or metal lifeforms are the exceptions. We get it. Luo Feng and True Yang Emperor followed the instructions carefully. Come with me, the knight said and continued briefing them, as he was the guide. After a short while, they arrived at the tallest mountain where sat a towering palace that was 1,000 square kilometers. The owner of this island, unlike yours, is not restricted. The knight pointed at the towering palace and said, "That's the palace of the owner. Let's go." They walked up the mountain. "Look up," the knight said, pointing at the sky. They both followed the knight. "What is it?" Luo Feng saw something inconceivably spectacular. He could see a crack inside the lake, inside which a magnificent and extensive palace was located. There were 8 sub-palaces surrounding the glowing main palace. "That is the core of the school," the knight said admiringly. "That's the largest palace, which is the ancestral god palace, where the ancestral gods live. Although there are 3 ancestral gods, only one of them is sitting here. The 8 palaces around it are the beast god palace, where the beast gods reside. And there are around a dozen palaces around each beast god palace, which are the guarding beast god palaces. Outside the beast god palaces," continued the knight, "are the locations of 72 lands, only 63 of which are in our view, of course. And the 72 generals are living there. Each of the generals' land is as large as Borhinia Island. There are 3,000 stars on the margin, and those are 3,000 starry worlds, on which live the prophets. All these constitute the core of the ancestral god school." The knight sighed. "Other than these center places, there are lots of islands on the 5-color Aurora Lake, and there are many sub-members of the school living there." "Sub-members?" Both Luo Feng and True Yang Emperor looked at him in shock. "Yes. They're candidates of the prophets and deified generals, and powerful heirs of the beast god." The knight couldn't help laughing. "Humans, do you really think there's free food available in the universe? Remember, it's a fair universe, and our school is not a charity. We paid a huge price for the inheritance crystals of prophets and the land of inheritance of the generals and the beast gods. You'll certainly have to pay for it. However," continued the knight, "the school won't care much about the weak. That's why those who receive the inheritance of prophets and deified generals won't be required to work for the school unless they receive a complete inheritance. However, once one obtains the complete inheritance, like that of deified generals, the entire land of inheritance will crumble." Luo Feng's heart skipped a beat. He recalled that he had been told something similar in the Demon Note General's land of inheritance, that if anyone received a complete inheritance, the entire land would disintegrate. "All the candidates of prophets and deified generals have received the complete inheritances," said the knight. "As for those following the path of beast gods, the most powerful ones have reached an extremely supreme level and are close to the complete inheritances. Note this, the school needs to pay a higher price for beast god inheritance, and those who are on the way to triumph will also need to sacrifice more. These are the sub-members. Then what about the guarding beast god palaces?" Luo Feng couldn't help asking. "Guarding beast gods are the ones who gain the complete beast god inheritance and have become masters of the universe," the knight explained. "They didn't become actually beast gods either because there were no vacancies, or they themselves didn't want to inherit the positions in the first place. After all, your power can be significantly improved after inheriting the position, but that's the end of it. Masters of the universe are the greatest and mightiest beings in the universe, no matter where they are," the knight continued. "The ancestral god school will respect their will and make them guarding beast gods even if they don't want to inherit the positions." Both Luo Feng and True Yang Emperor nodded. There was no such thing as a free meal, and everything came at a price. The ancestral god school wouldn't give resources away without being paid back. For those who had enough potential, the school didn't care for returns, whereas for those who could gain a complete inheritance, the school would demand something back. "Rest assured." The knight smiled. "The ancestral god school is arguably the freest power in the universe, and it has no intention of fighting for other territories. The dangers in the secret region are enough to intimidate other powers. Even if you become the sub-members of the school, you won't feel restricted." The knight shook his head. "Of course, it all means nothing if you can't even become a sub-member in the first place, which is difficult to begin with. No matter which path you're following, prophet inheritance, general inheritance, or beast god inheritance, they're all highly demanding." Luo Feng listened carefully and nodded. None of the hundreds of thousands of creatures in the land of Demon Note deified general inheritance managed to get the complete inheritance. However, the land accepted 32 creatures for every 10,081 eras, and the creatures there only tried for 50 million eras, which was a blink of an eye compared to the history of the universe. The owner of Borhinia Island is a guarding beast god. The knight looked at the towering palace. Guarding beast god. Luo Feng and Tru Yang Emperor followed him. There were quite a few sculptures on that palace. Some were like lizards, some were like roaring apes, and some were like birds. Although there were tens of thousands of sculptures, they could all be classified into 8 categories. Luo Feng understood them to be the images of the beast gods. In front of the palace of the island's owner was an enormous square, which was a section of a mountain. There were 3 flowing springs on the spectacular square, with their water coming seemingly from out of nowhere. However, the ground on the square was not wet at all. The knight, Luo Feng, and Tru Yang Emperor walked to the springs and looked at the door of the palace. "Get inside," the knight said. "My job is done here. I hope you can live longer on the island instead of falling, as you won't be able to come back with another token. I bet few races will give you a token twice." "Thank you, knight." Luo Feng and Tru Yang Emperor appreciated the knight's instruction. The knight smiled and flew into the auroras like a beam of light. "Let's go, student." Tru Yang Emperor smiled. "Sure." Inside sat a human wearing a simple black cape. He had long blue hair and blue engravings. A dimming force was emanating from him, reserved yet terrifying. Luo Feng felt he must be at least a universe knight. A human? Luo Feng was startled. Is he the guarding beast god? Luo Feng and Tru Yang Emperor exchanged a glance. The guarding beast god was a human. The man stood up, looked at them, and smiled. "I didn't expect to see humans here. How wonderful. You guys can stop guessing. I'm only a servant of the island owner instead of a guarding beast god. My job is to guard the palace and message the island owner." A servant. Both Luo Feng and Tru Yang Emperor missed a heartbeat. A sole slave of a universe knight level? And he was a human. Of course, thought Luo Feng. If I can enslave the barbarian races, then the barbarian races can enslave humans, too. Besides, guarding beast gods are masters of the universe. It's not surprising for them to have a universe knight level slave. Luo Feng could only console himself in this manner. Tru Yang Emperor looked at the black-caped man and said, "We're the new heirs and are here to greet the guarding beast god." The man smiled. "You just wait here. I've already passed the message to the guarding beast god, but he's currently busy. Please be patient." Luo Feng and Tru Yang Emperor gave each other a look. Let's just wait. They could only wait for the guarding beast god. Asterisk 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 asterisk. After half a day of waiting, both Luo Feng and Tru Yang Emperor were tired out. Luo Feng asked, "When will the guarding beast god arrive?" "Be patient," the man said with another smile. "The issues the guarding beast god is dealing with are much more important, and you guys are not in a rush. According to the rules of the Ancestral God School, it will take the Ancestral God 10 years to show up. If the guarding beast gods know they can't make it in 10 years, other guarding beast gods will take over." 10 years. "It ranges from an instant to 10 years, said the sitting man. "The unluckiest guests I received in the past waited for 3 days shy of 10 years. So, please sit down and be patient." "Just wait." Luo Feng and Tru Yang Emperor sat down without knowing when they could meet the island owner. After 12 days, Luo Feng and Tru Yang Emperor sat on the courtyard of the palace with their eyes closed. Suddenly, they felt an almighty force surrounding the palace. They both opened their eyes instantly. It's the guarding beast god. They both stood up, and the knight was already inside the main hall. They heard a high voice from the hall say, "Come in." They both went in, and Luo Feng and Tru Yang Emperor saw a figure on the throne. It was a special life form in dragon shape. It possessed wings and strange armor on its body and looked down upon them. There were tongues of flames on the armor, which made Luo Feng and Tru Yang Emperor feel like they were being engulfed in fire, and the special creature was the controller of space. The dragon could kill them with a snap of its fingers. Guarding beast god, Luo Feng thought to himself. It should be following the path of fire, space. From now on, you're the heirs of Borhinia Island, the guarding beast god said. First of all, I'll grant you access to the world of glory. 2 mini-quantum computers appeared after it finished talking, and they flew to Luo Feng and Tru Yang Emperor. This is the receiver of the virtual world, said the guarding beast god. The world of glory is the virtual universe of the Ancestral God School, and it's akin to humans' virtual universe. Although it's much smaller, they have similar functions. You'll know when you land on it. Luo Feng and Tru Yang Emperor took the receivers. I'll also grant you the access to the land of inheritance, the land of treasures, and the land of the secret region, the guarding beast god said. Did you see the 3 water curtains outside? Luo Feng and True Yang Emperor nodded. Water curtains? Weren't those springs? That's the portal, the guarding beast god continued. It's impossible for you to get in without my permission. The one on the left is the portal to the land of inheritance, the one in the middle is to the land of treasures, and the one on the right is to the land of the secret region. 3 water curtains are portals to 3 different places. The land of inheritance is where you accept the beast god inheritance, and you'll be tested how much you understand the laws. In the land of treasures are buried all the valuables left by the beast gods, guarding beast gods, and the powerful ones following the path of beast gods. There are a plethora of valuables there, and the seniors placed lots of barriers, restrictions, and requirements. Only if you satisfy the requirements of the seniors can you take treasures there. Not long ago, one of your humans gained a treasure. As for the land of the secret region, you can go there for adventures. The secret region of the Ancestral God School is the most mysterious secret region in the universe, where reside the most special creatures and the most mystical riches. There are natural and crafted treasures alike. However, it's also the most menacing secret region, and the closer you get to the land of treasures, the more dangers there will be. Even universe knights can be killed, and even masters of the universe can be trapped. Prepare to die if you decide to adventure there. The land of inheritance, the land of treasures, and the land of the secret region, together with the world of glory, are the 4 places you need to be familiar with. Go build a palace first, and then go to the land of inheritance. The guarding beast god looked down on them. Go. Yes, island owner, they said. Luo Feng and True Yang Emperor saluted it before exiting. There were hundreds of millions of heirs on the Borhinia island. Luo Feng and True Yang Emperor went to the location the knight had given them and started to build a palace. Concentrate, Luo Feng said. He used force of world in his internal world to build a mansion. It was an enormous courtyard that resembled the Jiangnan Garden of ancient China. There were paths made of cobblestones, and all sorts of flowers were planted on the side. At the corner of the courtyards sat a pool of water. The water was the essence of a Jiangnan garden. There was a stone bridge above the water, and pavilions were placed around it. Besides, there were lots of individual bedrooms and living rooms, and in front of some of the rooms were pools where rock gardens could be seen. Although the entire garden was only 1 square kilometer, it was constructed in a mesmerizing way, which was exactly how Luo Feng remembered his hometown. Lots of the gardens had been destroyed during the Grand Nirvana, but some of the rich built the gardens during the base city era. Luo Feng had learned about it before, when he was a student, and he had an extraordinary memory. All he did was memorize the pictures on the history textbooks. Luo Feng used lots of force of world techniques to solidify the garden. Luo Feng pointed to the mountain afar. Get out. Hong. Another private garden appeared. Afar were the undulating hills which merged as one with the rivers, gardens around them. Student, you're. True Yang Emperor was still building a huge palace while glimpsing at the residence Luo Feng built. Extraordinary. Teacher, you can't actually feel the secret of my hometown by using your godly power. Come inside. Luo Feng smiled and led True Yang Emperor inside. True Yang Emperor had adventured the universe long enough to see quite a lot. There were countless other forms of designs of architecture on the Borhinia island, and they were just as delicate as the one Luo Feng built. However, True Yang Emperor had never seen something like this. True Yang Emperor said with surprise, as walking on the stone bridge, "It's incredible. I feel like it's dozens of times larger than it actually is. There are different scenes of the same pool at different angles." Luo Feng smiled. A single step can shift the scene, and this is the mystery of it. And all the scenes are breathtaking in a unique way based on the visual guide. Can you make me one? True Yang Emperor asked him. How can I not? You've already asked me. Luo Feng made another garden of a slightly different type. The garden he had made for himself was more akin to those during the Ming and Qing dynasties, while the one for his teacher was of the Tang dynasty, which was more majestic. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Luo Feng and True Yang Emperor went back to the square in front of the palace of the Borhinia island owner. Let's go. Luo Feng and True Yang Emperor entered the spring on the left. The moment they touched the spring, they disappeared. The scene changed completely, and before Luo Feng could get a clear sight of his surroundings, he felt a terrifying force. Hong. The force was stronger than anything in Ice Hell, and he felt like dozens of neutron stars on his body, together with lots of other souls. What is this? Luo Feng asked. He could finally see everything clearly, and it was hollow, surrounded by black mist around him. There was a huge aerolite floating in the hollow, and a purple-armored powerful one with a wolf head was sitting on it. It belonged to one of the most populous branches of the human race, werewolf. The werewolf was surprised to see Luo Feng and True Yang Emperor. He laughed and said, "You must be Blade River Emperor and True Yang Emperor. I knew you two are coming." "Greetings, Ju Feng Knight," True Yang Emperor saluted him. "Greetings, Ju Feng Knight." Luo Feng bowed to him as well, but he was baffled. Just then, True Yang Emperor started to talk to him in his mind. "Student, Ju Feng Knight is one of the 7-star overlords of the human race, and is an equal of the master of the Heaven Erosion Palace. Rumor has it that he received the complete inheritance of deified generals." Luo Feng was startled. Complete inheritance? An equal of the master of the Heaven Erosion Palace? "This is the land of inheritance of the ancestral god school," said Ju Feng Knight, looked at the two of them with a smile. "Naturally, there's a powerful force, which is to suppress the soul seals in the godly bodies. Creatures less powerful than Emperor-level Undying will die under the force, which is why only the Undying can be granted the tokens. After all, talents who can get the tokens are all at least as powerful as the Emperors. Can you see the black mist surrounding us?" Ju Feng Knight pointed around. Both Luo Feng and True Yang Emperor nodded. It was such a strange district. Neither godly power nor world power could detect anything, and it was surrounded by black mist. "Get into the black mist and accept the inheritance," the knight said. "You two, separate." "Yes," Luo Feng and True Yang Emperor answered respectfully. They flew away in different directions. The second Luo Feng flew into the black mist, he felt a force pressing his body, and even though Luo Feng had a stronger will than most of the universe knights, he couldn't resist it. He stood in the hollow a long time and reached out with the fingers of his right hand. Kai. World power burst out and turned into a lore engraving. The engravings kept bursting out, starting from space and gold. Luo Feng started to perform without control over his own body. Starting from the basis, he manifested all his understanding of the laws. More and more engravings came out as time passed by, and the threads were all twining around each other, painting a beautiful world of the law. Luo Feng only stopped much later. The mystical force left Luo Feng. Huh! Luo Feng finally had his mind back. What? Luo Feng was so terrified that his entire body was sweating. He remembered distinctly how he was manipulated by the force to manifest the laws of merging. It's incredible," he stammered. "My will is so strong, and there is a tower pearl in my soul to protect it. Even masters of the universe would find it hard to control my mind. However, that mysterious force, it." Luo Feng finally realized how mighty the ancestral god school was. That's right. It's the land of inheritance. Even those universe knights who are as powerful as the master of the Heaven Erosion Palace or Shi Luo Feng will come here if they don't acquire the complete inheritance. That force will just manipulate everyone else, like what it just did to me. The mysterious force is non-aggressive, but it didn't even give me a chance to resist. What did that come from? As Luo Feng was still pondering its whereabouts, the force arrived again. The third level, Luo Feng heard a pressing voice say. It did not say anything else, but it made Luo Feng realize what the third level meant. The voice was echoing inside Luo Feng's mind, and Luo Feng fell into a hallucination. He was trapped in a bizarre dreamland. Inside the dreamland, Luo Feng was shown the most mystical and intricate secrets of the path of beast gods, and all the merging space laws and gold were instructed in the most detailed way possible. It was like someone pouring all the knowledge inside Luo Feng's brain. It was far more effective than reading 52 chaos tablets or looking at the sculpture of beast gods. After a long time, the force wore off. The black mist kicked Luo Feng out of the dreamland. It's beyond my wildest imaginations. Luo Feng blinked and was inspired. I wish I can have more of this. I've trained myself in ice hell for more than 2,000 years, and I could barely comprehend a tiny bit of the third chapter of Nanshan 7 forms. However, I can now comprehend a lot more after spending only a short time there. I feel like I can actually complete the third chapter if I can be indoctrinated one more time. I must have been taught the whole third chapter, but I can only understand half of it. Luo Feng was anxious. He hadn't felt this way for a long time. It was like dreaming, but he could only remember a small portion of it. After becoming a powerful one, he had never experienced blurry memories. But now, he felt the same way, and all he could remember were fractions of secrets of the third chapter. Don't just stand there, the knight on the aerolite said. Luo Feng and True Yang Emperor both looked happily surprised. The land of inheritance was born with the universe, And it was fraught with wonders, the knight said. It was the most important place of the ancestral god school. Every time, it will test how much you have understood the laws. There are 7 levels of beast god inheritance, and if you've completely comprehended the first 2 levels, you'll be bequeathed the 3rd level inheritance, so on and so forth. Jufeng Knight looked to Luo Feng and Tru Yang Emperor. How about you two? Which level have you reached? The 3rd level, Luo Feng said. I've learned a lot. The 4th level, Tru Yang Emperor said with thrill. I feel that I'm having my breakthrough. Breakthrough? Jufeng Knight looked at Tru Yang Emperor in surprise. Teacher, you're. Luo Feng was exhilarated. His teacher had been stuck at the last step for eras, and although beast god inheritance was a huge opportunity for him, he wasn't guaranteed to succeed. However, he was going to have his breakthrough right after inheritance. Tru Yang Emperor was thrilled. He had been waiting for too long. He was still accompanied by his families when he first became a powerful one, but with time going by, his families all became old, and his hometown also prospered because of him. After eras, he didn't need to worry about his hometown anymore. The only thing he was pursuing was the path of power. Nevertheless, he couldn't move forward while some of the other talents of the barbarian race had become universe knights. He could only stay in Chaos City and find a sense of accomplishment by teaching the juniors. Beast god inheritance was his biggest opportunity. However, success wasn't guaranteed. Haha. I just feel this way as I have lots of inspirations, Tru Yang Emperor laughed. I'm not sure when I can actually step forward. Even feeling it is good enough, said Jufeng Knight with a smile. What will really worry me is that you don't feel anything. Now that you've got inspirations, go back and contemplate them. Study the path of Beast God and you'll recall the instructions you had during the inheritance. Ah. Luo Feng was startled. Could he actually remember them? This is a small trick, Jufeng Knight said. During the inheritance, you, Blade River Emperor, received the 3rd level of it by watching every secret behind that. However, the amount you can remember depends on your original progress, and that's why you can't remember everything. If you go back and ruminate on it, you can remember more. The key is to seize the moment and study the path of Beast God. Thank you, Jufeng Knight, Luo Feng and Tru Yang Emperor said with gratitude. Also, is the inheritance great? Jufeng Knight looked at Luo Feng. I can tell by your facial expressions. Don't be smug. You might think this one-time inheritance is far more effective than the training you've done before, but it's only an illusion. An illusion? Luo Feng and Tru Yang Emperor were dazed. Maybe you found it difficult to understand during your previous training, said Jufeng Knight. However, you only ran into those problems because you actually put effort into it, and that's why you were suddenly enlightened during the inheritance. If you think inheritance itself is enough for you, you're way off. Without the reflection of the failures you had before, you wouldn't gain anything even if you received the inheritance. Luo Feng and Tru Yang Emperor suddenly understood. It was just like the Chaos Tablet, which would only be helpful after they practiced long enough. As for Beast God inheritance, it was tens of millions of times more helpful. When can we come here for inheritance again? Luo Feng asked. There are 7 levels of Beast God inheritance, and you can have a free instruction for each level, Jufeng Knight said. When you complete the 2nd level, you can take the inheritance for the 3rd level. When you're done with the 3rd level, you can come here for the 4th level, and so on and so forth. You can get only 1 for each level. That means you can't get a free 3rd level inheritance. Free? Does that mean I need to pay a price? Luo Feng asked. It was totally worth it to trade a treasure for 1 inheritance. What's the price? A treasure? Tru Yang Emperor followed up. Do you really think the ancestral god school would care about your treasures? Jufeng Knight shook his head. The only way is to go to the world of glory. World of glory? Luo Feng and Tru Yang Emperor remembered it. You'll know one when you enter it, Jufeng Knight said. But you need to be extra careful. Jufeng Knight looked at Luo Feng and Tru Yang Emperor and said, I'll tell you 2 rules. 1. There shall be no killings in the 5-color Aurora Lake, or you'll be attacked. 2. Each heir has a palace on the Borhinia Island, and the palace belongs to you and you only. Nobody can trespass in it, and you can't trespass in others' palaces. Remember the 2 rules. Now go. The portal is right behind you. Luo Feng and Tru Yang Emperor took a bow, turned around, and saw a transparent wave. They flew inside. Shua. They were teleported. Jufeng Knight sat on the aerolite and said, Blade River Emperor? Is he the Sector Lord Blade River Emperor? Incredible for him to reach the 3rd level as only a sector lord. Asterisk 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 asterisk. On Borhinia Island, Luo Feng and True Yang Emperor walked out of the water curtains and flew back to their palaces. Student, I have so many inspirations now that I think I can actually have my breakthrough if I can actually accomplish it. True Yang Emperor looked at Luo Feng. You deserve the credit for that. The token means nothing without your hundreds of millions of years of training, Luo Feng answered. That sounds about right, True Yang Emperor said. I gained a lot by taking you on as my student. I still need to contemplate and try to leap forward. I guess I can either spend a year or 10,000 years before I become a universe knight. But if I can't even make it after 10,000 years, I might lose my chance. You can succeed, teacher, Luo Feng encouraged him. I hope everything you say will become true, True Yang Emperor said. I might not show up for a long time. And don't come to me unless there's something urgent. I understand, Luo Feng said, nodding. He wouldn't interrupt his teacher at such a crucial time. I hope I am a universe knight next time I see you, True Yang Emperor said. I hope so, too. There was a trace of light in Luo Feng's eyes. True Yang Emperor flew to the garden afar and closed the door. Luo Feng sat beside the river and couldn't help smiling. Finally, my teacher can have his moment. I'll need to work hard, also. The training I have in normal times is the root. Luo Feng went back to his palace, sat on the path beside the pool with his legs crossed, and started to practice. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Half a year passed, and Luo Feng finally opened his eyes. Ju Feng Knight was right, he said. I did advance a lot in the past half a year. Although it wasn't as effective as I was during the inheritance, it's much better than in Ice Hell. I can now understand that in a normal speed. I don't need to rush. Luo Feng stood up and walked outside. He walked to the side of the river and looked around. The door of his teacher's palace was still closed, and he could see other figures afar. Where can I go? The world of glory, the land of inheritance, the land of treasures, and the land of the secret region, Luo Feng murmured. I can't go to the land of the secret region now or I'll die. And there's no point going to the land of inheritance. I'll go to the land of treasures. Luo Feng was expecting something great. The land of treasures, according to the guarding beast god, was filled with treasures left by a plethora of beast gods, guarding beast gods, and their equals. The guarding beast god said there was a human obtaining a treasure, said Luo Feng, recalling how Seven-Blade Emperor used the golden pool. Could that be him? Whatever, I'll go take a look first. Luo Feng flew to the square in front of the palace of the island owner. As he landed, he saw a figure there. The figure was 10 feet tall and wore armor resembling green bark. He had silver skin, a bald head, and diamond eyes. Automaton race, Luo Feng said as he landed. Human, the powerful one of the automaton race said. It stared at and inspected Luo Feng. Then it smiled and said, I have the information of 91,293 human emperors, and that of all the famous undying of humans is here. Normally, only the well-known emperors can get tokens and get in. But strangely, I can't find your information. Based on the fight between Blade River Emperor and Haiti Emperor, a phantom of Beast God will appear if the Blade River Emperor makes his move. Apparently, Blade River Emperor is following the path of Beast Gods. And in the past 10,000 eras, there were few humans following the path of Beast Gods. The Blade River Emperor is extraordinarily talented, and the human race would definitely give him the token. Correct me if I'm wrong. Your Blade River Emperor. The powerful one of automaton race looked at Luo Feng and added, how incredible true treasures are, that I can't even tell you're a sector lord. This video will end here.